Okay, so let's dive into this deep dive about delay, deny, defend. Why insurance companies don't pay. This book, you might remember it, gained notoriety after that tragic incident where Luigi Mangione assassinated the CEO of United Healthcare.
Yeah, it was...
Chillingly, words echoing the book's title were found.
It was a shocking event.
Etched on the bullet casing.
Really brought to light a simmering frustration I think a lot of people feel towards the insurance industry. It seems Mangione felt deeply wronged by the system, and a lot of people resonated with that.
Absolutely. And that's what J.M. Feynman digs into in his book.
Yeah.
We'll be navigating excerpts focusing on auto and homeowners insurance.
Right.
That fine print we all gloss over until we need it.
It's like he's giving us a decoder ring for all those dense policies. What's fascinating is how Feynman helps us understand not just what the policies say, but how they actually impact us when we need to file a claim.
The goal today is to walk away feeling empowered, not powerless.
Right.
The next time you deal with insurance. So before we get into exposing the tactics insurance companies might use, let's set the stage. How should insurance work, ideally?
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world.
Insurance is all about shared risk.
Right.
You know, think Benjamin Franklin. He and his buddies formed the first fire insurance company in America.
Yeah.
It was all about neighbors helping neighbors.
Right. A kind of collective safety net. I like that.
Right. Now, here's the basic math.
Okay.
Insurance companies collect premiums, invest that money, and pay out claims when those insured events occur.
That makes sense.
The time between collecting and paying is what they call the float.
Right.
And that's where they can generate profit through investments.
That float makes sense.
Yeah.
But it also seems like it could create an incentive to delay those payouts, right?
You've hit a crucial point.
Yeah.
Ideally, companies are legally and ethically obligated to pay what they owe promptly and fairly when a claim is filed, like a sacred trust. But starting in the 1990s, a perfect storm brewed in the insurance industry, as Feynman describes.
Okay.
You had extended periods of low profits, what they call soft markets.
Right.
Then massive events like Hurricane Andrew drained their resources.
So they were squeezed between low income and huge payouts.
Exactly. On top of that, companies like Allstate, which were separating from their parent companies, Sears in this case, were facing pressure from Wall Street to prioritize shareholder profits above all else.
Oh, yeah?
This created an environment ripe for finding ways to minimize payouts.
And that's where McKinsey and Company enters the picture, right?
Yeah.
The consulting giant.
What's striking is how McKinsey essentially advised these companies to treat claims as a profit center.
Really?
Not just a cost of doing business.
Interesting.
It was a fundamental shift in perspective.
So instead of seeing claims as part of their responsibility, they started seeing them as an opportunity to make more money.
That's right.
This seems like a pretty big problem.
It was a significant change, and it really set the stage for this delay, deny, defend strategy that Feynman describes. Yeah. He argues that many companies adopted these tactics to minimize what they had to pay.
Let's unpack delay, deny, defend. What does it look like in action?
Sure.
I know you've got some examples from the book.
Let's start with delay.
Okay.
Companies will stall, hoping you'll give up or accept a lowball offer.
Right.
They might use excessive investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Demand mountains of documentation.
Yeah.
Or exploit legal loopholes.
It sounds incredibly frustrating to deal with.
Feynman highlights the case of Theodore Price, who had to wait 3 years to receive compensation after a car accident.
3 years? That's absurd.
The insurance company just kept dragging their feet.
And what about deny? How does that play out?
Deny is when they outright reject valid claims.
Oh, wow.
They might use technicalities, misinterpret policy language, or rely on biased expert opinions to support their denial.
So it's like they're using the complexity of the system against the people they're supposed to be protecting.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Take the case of Kristen Dine.
Oh, yeah.
She was denied coverage for injuries from a hit and run because State Farm claimed her medical expenses weren't necessary.
Really?
Despite her doctor's recommendation.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're really playing hardball.
Yeah. Okay, and lastly, what does defend entail?
Defend is when they go on the offensive.
Okay.
Aggressively fighting lawsuits. Knowing that most people can't afford lengthy legal battles.
Yeah.
Specialized lawyers.
Wow.
software to minimize payouts,
right,
exploiting loopholes to wear down claimants. It's all part of their strategy.
So even if you have a legitimate claim and can afford a lawyer, they'll still make it incredibly difficult.
Feynman discusses the disturbing case of Reagan Wilson.
Okay.
Her insurance company hired a private investigator who infiltrated her church community.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to discredit her injury claims after an accident. Wow. It's like they're treating their own policyholders like the enemy.
It can definitely feel that way.
Yeah. So it's not just about denying big claims.
Right. It's not just about the big cases.
They seem to have a playbook for even seemingly smaller issues.
Yeah.
Tell me about this MIST strategy Feynman talks about.
MIST stands for minor impact soft tissue.
Okay.
These are claims from, say, a fender bender, where you have whiplash or back pain. Insurers often view these as easy targets.
Because they think people won't fight for what might seem like a small payout.
Exactly. They discourage hiring lawyers.
Oh, wow.
Use complex medical reviews to downplay injuries.
Right.
And make it financially daunting to pursue action. And as we'll see when we talk about homeowners insurance, this mindset of targeting seemingly smaller claims isn't limited to just auto policies.
Yeah. And this mindset of targeting seemingly smaller claims isn't limited to just auto policies. Let's look at what happens when we step into the world of homeowners insurance. It can feel like navigating a minefield.
You're not wrong. Homeowners insurance is notorious for its dense language and exclusions.
Right.
What's concerning is how insurance companies might use this complexity to their advantage when denying claims.
It's like they're hoping we'll just get lost in the fine print and just give up.
It can feel that way. For instance, let's say you have a plumbing leak that causes foundation damage.
Right.
The insurance company might refuse to pay.
Really?
Claiming it's not a covered peril.
Wow.
Even if you have an engineer's report proving the link.
So even if the damage is a clear consequence of something that happened in your home, they might still find a way out.
Feynman argues that that's a common tactic.
Oh.
And it can get even trickier with natural disasters.
Oh, yeah.
Some policies claim to cover all risks,
Right.
but then have a laundry list of exceptions.
Yeah.
This can lead to huge disputes over what's actually covered.
This reminds me of what happened after Hurricane Katrina. So many homeowners were left with uncovered losses, even though they had been paying for insurance.
Katrina is a prime example of how these tactics can play out on a massive scale, leaving people in incredibly vulnerable positions.
It's a pretty bleak picture we're painting here.
Yeah.
Delayed payments, denied claims, aggressive legal tactics.
It's definitely concerning, but Feynman doesn't just leave us with a sense of despair.
Okay, good.
He offers some practical advice on how to fight back.
Okay.
How to navigate this complex system.
Okay, give us the tools. What can we do to protect ourselves?
The first step is knowledge.
Okay.
Understand your policy. Don't just rely on the ads or what your agent tells you.
Right.
Get into that fine print before you need to file a claim.
I know. Reading pages of insurance jargon isn't exactly fun, but it sounds crucial.
Absolutely. And if you do have to file a claim, document everything.
Okay.
Meticulously record all communication with the insurance company. Take photos and videos of the damage.
Right.
Keep detailed records of all expenses related to your claim.
Build that paper trail. So there's no room for dispute.
Exactly. And if things get complicated, don't be afraid to seek professional help.
Okay.
Feynman suggests consulting an independent insurance agent, a public adjuster, or even an attorney if necessary.
So having an expert in your corner can make a big difference in getting what you're owed.
It can be invaluable. They can help you navigate the complexities of the claims process and advocate for your rights.
This is all great advice for anyone dealing with insurance. But this whole delay, deny, defend strategy, it raises some big questions about the insurance industry itself, right?
It does.
I mean, is this just how the game is played?
It's a valid question. And it leads us to a deeper discussion about the underlying forces at play here.
Okay.
We've seen the tactics, but what are the root causes? What's driving this behavior?
And perhaps even more importantly, are there alternative models that could address these systemic issues?
That's what we'll explore in our final segment. We'll look at the bigger picture and consider some potential paths forward.
So we've uncovered some pretty unsettling tactics used by insurance companies.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, where does this all leave us? What's the bigger takeaway from delay, deny, defend?
Well, I think Feynman's book does a great job of exposing these tactics.
Right.
But it also forces us to think about the context in which they arise.
Okay.
Deny, defend is really a symptom of a larger issue.
Okay.
The for-profit structure of the healthcare system.
So you're saying because insurance companies are driven by profit, there's a built-in incentive to minimize payouts.
Right.
Even if it means shortchanging their policyholders.
That's the inherent conflict of interest.
Yeah.
If the goal is to maximize profit for shareholders, then paying out claims, even legitimate ones, cuts into those profits.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what's the solution? Is insurance just inherently flawed?
I wouldn't say insurance itself is flawed.
Okay.
But the current for-profit model under which much of it operates has some serious problems. And that's where I think Feynman's analysis, while insightful, has its limitations.
Okay.
He's critiquing certain aspects of the system, but not necessarily addressing the root of the problem.
So he's pointing out problems within the existing framework, but not offering a completely different approach.
Right. What's interesting to consider, and what the book doesn't really delve into, is whether a shift towards nonprofit healthcare systems could potentially eliminate these conflicts of interest.
That's a thought-provoking idea. How would that work?
Well, in a nonprofit model, the focus shifts away from maximizing shareholder profit.
You're right.
Instead, the priority becomes providing affordable and accessible healthcare for everyone.
Okay.
If the system isn't driven by profit, then the incentive to delay, deny, defend disappears.
It makes you wonder if that kind of fundamental change could lead to a fairer, more ethical insurance landscape.
Right.
One where policyholders aren't treated like adversaries.
It's certainly a conversation worth having. Delay, deny, defend is a powerful reminder that we need to be informed and vigilant when it comes to dealing with insurance.
Right.
We can't just blindly trust that the system will work in our favor.
We need to understand our policies document everything.
Yes.
And be prepared to advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely. And perhaps even more importantly, we need to engage in broader conversations about the healthcare system as a whole.
Right.
And explore alternative models that truly prioritize people over profit.
Well said. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given knowledge and a healthy dose of skepticism. You have the power to be informed and to advocate for your rights.
And perhaps even to push for systemic change.
Exactly. Because maybe, just maybe, we can create a healthcare system that truly serves everyone's best interests.